I don't wanna tell them anything. I wanna give them a study on the perception of justice. That is the key option. The key thing is to ask the questions like indifferently, you know, objectively about justice, about our justice system, about the terrorism, about what is happening in this, you know, reality that we have. Yeah. So basically, it is a study on the meaning of justice in contemporary society. See, I have this. I would say that working with the actors was the hardest part, because I like the aesthetics of theater that is a little silent. The drama is not that much involved. And
like a classic, yeah?
Yeah, not that classic, but not like drama is less, you know. The conflict is.
I understand.
The conflict is not how to say. Not so pronounced, you know, not so expressed. The conflict is more inside. The conflict is more there. So that and our school of acting and our actors are used to act, you know, a lot with big expressions and everything. And it was I was trying to find a dialogue with them to make this, how to say, more precise, more specific, more subtle. I don't know. I don't think much about the reaction, and it is like a cliche answer, but you know, it would be nice that the audience would hear the text, understand the problem, and then maybe, you know, think about justice a little bit, you know, and about the liberal morals, you know. What do we give up and what do we gain while living in this like free contemporary society, you know, that everyone is free to express themselves and everything else. I know it's for you it is a little different, you know, but and for example now in Poland it's different, you know, but in the, like it is basically about the Western. About Western civilization, you know, Western civilization which is now very bored and a little sleepy, you know, and they let these things happen, like terror, like attacks on their citizens, just in the middle of their cities, of their towns, and like in the most unexpected ways. And what happens is that. And it's because we are very accepting, you know. But we want to be accepting, you know. So what happens?
We started out knowing that we wanted to do a play based on Alice in Wonderland. But when Antanas, the director, came to me with the idea and told me he wanted to do Alice, I was kind of surprised. I asked, "You want to do a play for children, a children's play?" And then soon we realized that it is not, it should not be, and that the character Alice can do much more than, you know, entertain children. It's a very deep character. First of all, because Alice is very loving and caring and brave, and it's a kind of a hero that we need today. It's the hero that we not necessarily deserve, but we need it. And we try to locate a very kind of sensitive spot in our contemporary world where we could introduce Alice, where she could be very useful, where she could shine. And we both have a personal relation or connection with France, with Paris. Lived there for a period of time, and right at the time that we were thinking about this play, the trial of Salah Abdeslam had begun in France. He was transferred from Belgium to France. So it really struck our imagination as to two things mainly. One thing was that we realized it is a moral issue that we have to address, is whether we should represent any of the events or or Salah Abdeslam himself. It's a very touchy subject, and we decided that it would not be advisable, even in the artistic platform, to represent or recreate any of the events or the trauma itself. So that is not the focus. The events are not the focus of our play. The focus is the emotional effect, the traumatic effect that such terrorist attacks can, have a very strong effect on society, and we try to map out the emotional effects within society and within the professionals who have to deal with the situation, with the aftermath of the situation, with the trial, with the search for justice. But obviously the question is how there can be justice recreated when 140 people died. What we can do to restore that? Nothing. And so, what is justice? Is the main question of the play. Yeah, has. Well, as a playwright, I'm not. Well, at least in this case, I was not the type of playwright who, finishes writing and then disappears to thin air and then comes to the premiere. I was there all along. I went to the rehearsals, to the readings, and we worked closely with the actors and the director. And I feel a kind of co-authorship of the play and of the performance. So I think I had influence on the final result, and likewise whole team had an influence on the play. And so I kept even making changes and rewrites and reworking several scenes up until maybe a week before the premiere. So it was an intense process in terms of time, in terms of intensity. But we got to the result that I think we all are happy with it. I think it's absolutely amazing what we are able to achieve. And so, I think it's quite close to what I had imagined. It's just better because everybody came together and added their own visions and ideas, and it kind of grew, through this collaboration. So it's great. Well, we spoke just yesterday. I had my kind of a final speech to the team as a playwright. It's kind of a thing that some of the characters do in the play, because they're lawyers. They kind of give the final statements, the final speech. And the final speech was about yes and no, and that we are kind of addicted to yes, and we want to convince people. And we have that addiction that is a bit toxic, because if we're trying to make an audience agree with us and make them say yes to us, we're playing a kind of a trap game. We want to build a logic and trap them until they say yes. Okay, so a person takes drugs and drives a car and crashes. And we say, now you understand that doing drugs is bad. Yes, we understand. This is not the structure that we want at all, and actually what we're driving at is more based on open-ended questions on how is this possible? How can we have justice? And then building on the empathy, saying, so many people died. How can there be justice ever? And then every character has their own how. Alice says, how can you do this without thinking deeper about whether this is right? How can you reduce everything to profession? Not everything is just profession. And so on. And the response from the audience that I expect the most, or I would like to receive the most, is saying no. Saying, no, it's right. It's not how it should be. No. So, we're not trying to nail down just one message. I think what we're trying to do is just evoke reflection, evoke empathy, and evoke kind of an insight into our own trauma that is inevitably caused by such events as November attacks in Paris or any, big conflict, global conflict, or terrorist attack. I think it lingers somewhere in us and causes damage, and we have to. We usually forget the news as if it was just the news, but it stays within us, and we have to keep digging to, have a proper emotional catharsis of the situation. So,
Thank you for this conversation. I wish you good luck in the premiere.
Thank you.